Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. Little late on this one, but it's time for the SmackDown video. SmackDown was Friday, August 23rd, 2013. Have no clue where the hell it was at, though. I don't know if it's just the online versions of it that I keep seeing. I never notice what city it's in on these online videos, so I really don't know. Anyways, show starts off with the intro video, and then they cut to the ring where Lillian, the ring announcer, introduces Vicky Guerrero, who's in the ring. And Vicky talks for a bit, and she's still an obnoxious cunt. She introduces Randy Orton. Out he comes. As he's coming out, he gets down to the bottom of the ramp, and there's Vicky. She wants to give him a hug. Randy's looking at her like, "You're fucking kidding me." So she instead backs off from the hug and just says, "Okay, I'll shake hands," and they shake hands and whatever. Vicky leaves, Randy gets in the damn ring, and Randy starts talking. My nose is a bit stuffed up, so I'm sorry if you hear me doing that number there. Randy gets in the ring and he starts talking. Who gives a fuck? Okay? Finally, Bryan comes out. And first of all, he says he wants to thank John Cena for actually toughing it out and giving him the match and, you know... whatever. Bryan continues talking, and he gets to the point of he wants his rematch. Since he is technically the former champion, he gets a rematch. He wants it tonight. But Randy says, "No, you're going to have to wait until Night of Champions." Whatever. They're about done, and Randy goes for the RKO, but Bryan pushes him off, and Randy stumbles forward, leans up against the ropes. Bryan charges at him and drop kicks him, and Randy goes over the top ropes and out of the ring. And that's pretty much it for that segment. They hype up Christian versus Alberto Del Rio for later on. And then they show Curtis Axel backstage with Paul Heyman. They're coming out for a match. Or getting ready to, at least. That's going to be up next. They cut to commercial. When they come back, Vicky is in her office backstage. And Barrett comes up. Wade Barrett. And Wade's saying, you know, you have this problem with Daniel Bryan, and I have a problem with him too. So how about you put me in a match with him later on, and you won't have any more problems with him. And so Vicky's thinking, and she's like, okay, we'll have a match. It'll be a no-holds-barred match. No, wait, that's not good enough. We'll do Extreme Rules. No, wait, that's not good enough. We'll do it in a steel cage. And that's what she finally settles on. So there's going to be a steel cage match later on. Barrett and Daniel Bryan. I don't know what the hell. Anyways, so that, whatever. Back out in the arena, Cody Rhodes comes out. And then Curtis Axel comes out with Paul Heyman. And as they're coming out, they recap the fight from Raw with Punk and Axel. After the recap, the match starts, and it's Cody and Axel, of course. And it's actually a decent match, even though I don't really like either one of these guys. There's a commercial in the middle of the match. What ends up happening is Cody was up on the top rope going for that moonsault he's been doing lately. But as he's going up for it, Heyman gets up on the stairs right in that corner of the ring because Cody was doing it in a corner where the stairs are. Heyman starts going up the stairs, talking at him, yelling at him, whatever the fuck. He distracts Cody long enough. Axel comes from behind, knocks Cody off the top rope. I don't really remember how. Doesn't really matter. He picks him up after knocking him off the top rope. He picks him up. He does that swinging neck breaker into a face buster thing. Still have no clue what the hell he calls that. They need to get that damn move a name, because I have no clue what to call it. All I can say is it's the move he ripped off of Kurt Hawkins or Derek Bateman or whoever it was. But he hits that on him, and he gets the win. So Axel wins the match. And after the match, Heyman gets in the ring with a microphone, and Heyman starts talking. Again, who gives a fuck? After he gets done with his spiel, he lets Axel talk. And this is even more boring because Axel really doesn't have any charisma. He's boring as fuck. But he says that he wants a match with Punk on Raw this coming Monday. He's challenging Punk to a match. Whatever. All of a sudden, my nose is running. Anyways, after that, spiel's pretty much over. They hype up the Bryan versus Barrett cage match for later on. And then they show backstage, it's a split screen thing. You've got Ziggler on one side, and then you've got Big E and AJ on the other side. And they say, we're going to have a match between these two up next. And they cut to commercial. Okay, fine. When they cut back from commercial, AJ is already halfway out. She's just coming down the ramp still. So she's out. And I don't know why she's not with Big E. If she's not even involved in the match, why does she even need to get an entrance? I know she's the Divas champion, but like, whatever. And sure, half of it was cut off, but still, she could have just come out with Big E. But anyways, after she comes out, Big E does come out. And then Ziggler comes out. And while he's coming out, they show a recap from Raw of Ziggler versus The Shield. And when they cut back from the recap, Ziggler's just about to get in the ring. He, gets in, through the ropes. And as he's getting in through the ropes, Big E jumps him and starts wailing on him. And the referee's like, come on, back off. I gotta start the match, whatever the fuck. And it goes on for a few seconds. Big E just wailing on Ziggler. Finally, the referee is able to get Big E to back off. And he finally starts the match. So it's Ziggler versus Big E. The match was pretty short, but it was still decent. The finish was, let's see. Ziggler went to do the Fameasser on Big E, but Big E counters him up into like a power bomb. But he's not able to hit it. Ziggler struggles and gets out of it, and like X Factors Big E down on his face. And as he hits that, Big E's like, oh shit, my nose is broken, my nose is broken. And I could actually hear him say that. So I'm like, oh shit, is he really hit the mat hard? The referee goes over to check on him, of course. Ziggler rolls over to the ropes, and he's got his head sticking out between the ropes. And of course, AJ goes over and she slaps the hell out of him. The ref doesn't see it. Sorry. So AJ slaps Ziggler, and then Big E gets up. I guess his nose really isn't broken, he was just distracting the ref, but he picks up Ziggler for the big ending. But Ziggler wiggles out of it, he slips down the back, jumps up, grabs Big E and hits the zigzag, and then he covers him and he gets the win. So again, pretty short match, but it was still decent. Big E was really aggressive in the early go, and he went right after it, though. But whatever. Ziggler still won. After the match, they hype up Christian versus Del Rio for later on, and they cut to a commercial. Well, actually, it's next. They come back from commercial, and Christian comes out. And then Del Rio comes out, and I noticed that as he comes out, Lillian, the ring announcer, again introduces him in Spanish. And she even said that it was at Del Rio's request. So apparently from now on, Lillian's going to be introducing Del Rio in Spanish because, you know, Del Rio gave Ricardo the frickin' boot. But anyways, we start the match. Christian and Del Rio. Another decent match. There's a commercial in the middle of it, and the finish of it is... Let's see what happened. Del Rio was kind of backing into a corner. Christian comes charging at him to go for the spear. But as he comes in, Del Rio sidesteps, throws Christian into the corner, and he goes through the thing, of course, and hits his shoulder on the post. Del Rio hops up to the top rope. He grabs Christian by the arm, and then he jumps out and he flips around and he goes into the cross arm breaker from off the top rope. And he's got Christian locked into it. Christian got out of the arm breaker earlier just by rolling out of it like he's done before. But this time he's not really able to. He fights off for a minute or so, but he's trying to get up out of it, but he can't. Del Rio wrenches it back down, and Christian ends up having to tap out. So Del Rio wins. After the match, Del Rio grabs a microphone and he starts talking. And who really gives a shit what he's saying? He's healing it up, saying that, you know, I'm better than all you people, but whatever the fuck. He finally gets done talking, and out comes Ricardo on the stage. And he's talking, whatever. He introduces Rob Van Dam, of course, his new client. RVD comes out, and him and Ricardo start heading towards the ring. And as they do, the camera cuts back to the ring to show Del Rio getting missile drop kicked by Christian. So Del Rio gets drop kicked, knocked on his ass. Christian bails. RVD rolls into the ring real quick. Del Rio's still down. RVD hits the ropes, does the Rolling Thunder, and right after he hits the Rolling Thunder, Del Rio rolls out of the ring because he figures that Van Dam's probably going to go for the damn 5-star, which he probably would have. But Del Rio rolls the hell out of the ring, and that's pretty much the end of that segment. And then they recap the opening segment, the promo between Bryan and Orton. They hype up the Bryan versus Barrett cage match for later, and then they cut to a commercial. When they come back from the commercial, the Big Show comes out. And he doesn't even really get halfway down the ramp. He starts doing the Hulk Hogan, you know, let me hear you, brother, taunt or whatever the fuck. And then Henry's music hits, and out he comes. And as the two of them start heading towards the ring, they cut to the ring, and all three of the 3MB guys are already in the ring. And I heard Lillian, the ring announcer, say that this is a handicap match. So it's going to be 3-on-2, 3MB versus Henry and Show. They start having the match. It's basically a squash. It doesn't last long. Most of the match was Henry and Show just beating the shit out of the 3MB guys. The 3MB guys managed to get a little bit of offense, but it wasn't really much. The finish of the match, let's see. McIntyre was the legal man. He had already been chokeslammed by Show. And when Show went for the pin, Slater came in and broke it up. Henry got in the ring and wound up giving the world's strongest slam to Slater after Slater had been fed into him by Show. After that, Mahal got into the ring, and he promptly got thrown back out of the ring by Show. And then McIntyre gets up only to eat the WMD, the KO punch from Show, and that's the finish. Big Show pins him, 1, 2, 3, and that's match. Yeah, it was pretty much a squash. Wasn't really that great. Whatever. After the match, Henry and Show are kind of celebrating when all of a sudden you hear the Shield guys screaming at him. Rollins and Reigns are up on the Titantron. They start cutting a promo on Henry and Show. I don't remember really what they say, but it was a decent promo, whatever. After that, they cut backstage to show the primetime players, Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. And apparently they're getting ready to come out for a match, which is up next. They cut to commercial. When we come back from the commercial, the Real Americans, Cesaro and Swagger and Coulter, are already in the ring. And I guess they had already skipped the promo by Coulter. Either that or he just didn't do one. But he's still got the mic and he says, I want everybody to stand up, put your hand over your heart and say, we the people. And you know, that shtick. Whatever. They get that out of the way and then out come the primetime players to their shitty fucking ring music. But apparently, according to the announcer, this is a one-on-one match. It's going to be Cesaro versus Darren Young. So whatever. The match starts, and Cesaro starts beating the shit out of Darren Young. It looks like he was just giving him some real stiff shots, just knocking him around real hard. And I even noticed that Young started bleeding from the mouth at one point. The finish of the match, Young gets Cesaro up on his shoulders to give him the gut check, that big double knee gut buster. Swagger jumps up on the apron to distract the referee. Cesaro slips out of the gut check and goes for a roll-up, but he only gets 2. Young gets up, and I don't remember if he did something else, but he basically just got Cesaro back up on his shoulders, hits the gut check, and gets the win. Whatever. More Bryan versus Barrett cage match hype, and then they cut to commercial. When they come back, Ryback is backstage. My eyes are rolling so hard you can't even tell. But he's backstage, and up comes some guy, and he asks Ryback to sign this autograph thing. It's this big picture with like all the different superstar heads on it. And he says, I want you to sign this for my son Billy. He's a big fan of yours. And I'm like, why would any kid be a fan of Ryback? Maybe before when he was a face, but not anymore now. Ryback signs it, surprisingly. He hands it back to the guy, and the guy says, well, wait a minute, which one's yours? The guy says he doesn't really know who Ryback is. He hasn't watched in a long time. He doesn't really know who Ryback is. But he says his son still likes him or whatever the fuck. Ryback's all like, you don't know who I am. He takes the autograph thing back and he rips it up. That's pretty much the end of it. They cut back to the announcers in the arena, and they say that CM Punk has tweeted, and he has accepted the challenge that Curtis Axel laid down earlier. So we are going to have this match on Raw, Punk versus Axel. We don't know if it's for the Intercontinental title, although Axel did bring up the Intercontinental title while he was talking about it, but I would actually like to see that. Punk takes the Intercontinental title from Axel. I don't know about that. That seems like it'd be kind of beneath Punk at this point, but whatever. So yeah, we are going to have that match, and then they cut up to the rafters area, and they show that the cage is lowering. So up next is the cage match, and they cut to commercial. When they come back from commercial, out comes Daniel Bryan. And then out comes Wade Barrett. And while he's coming out because his fucking entrance is boring as shit, they recap Bryan shaving Barrett's beard from 3 weeks ago on Raw. Whatever. Not like we haven't already seen that shit. But anyways, they start the match. Bryan and Barrett in a cage match. This turns out to be a good match. There was a lot of good action. There was a commercial in the middle of it. The finish is Barrett had knocked Bryan down and was trying to escape the cage over the top, climbing over the top. But Bryan had stopped him and pulled him back in, got him down on one of the turnbuckles on the top rope, and Bryan was standing on the ropes off to the side of the corner. He jumps and he twists and he does like a kind of like a sunset flip power bomb on Barrett out of the corner. Not really like a sunset flip, but because he was off to the side, he kind of jumped and dove down and power bombed. It looked really cool. But anyways, he power bombs the shit out of Barrett. And then Bryan gets up and he backs into the corner and he's like, yes, yes, yes. Barrett finally gets up and Bryan comes charging and jumps up and hits that big super charging knee to the face, the same one that put Cena down at SummerSlam. He nails this on Barrett. He covers him and he gets the win. So Bryan wins the big cage match. Yay. Afterwards, he gets out of the cage and he's, yes, yes, skipping around the ring while he's doing yes, yes. And he gets over by the entrance ramp and he stops and he turns around back towards the ring. And out of nowhere, there's Randy, who jumps up and RKO's the fuck out of Bryan on the floor. Randy came out from under the ring from the looks of it. After that, Randy's standing over Bryan holding up the WWE title belt. And that's the end of the show. So, yeah. That was the show. I just wanted to get that knocked out real quick. I missed it on Friday because I was working. Anyways, that was SmackDown. Most of the matches were still decent, and then the cage match was actually good. It went for a while. It had some good action, good moves. But that was SmackDown. Overall, I say it was a decent show. We know that we're going to be having Punk versus Curtis Axel on Raw. I'm guessing either Lesnar's going to interfere and cost Punk the match, or Punk's just going to win clean. I don't know. I can't see Axel actually beating Punk clean, even with Heyman's interference. I just can't see that happening. But either way, that was SmackDown from Friday, August 23rd, 2013. Again, I do not know where the hell it was. But that was it. Thank you for listening. Join us on Raw for the Raw review, and we will see you then. Good night.